What's good, friends? List episode 70 of the Gamecast coming at you. It's no secret that Halo Infinite's development hasn't been the smoothest. From losing both its creative director and executive producer last year, its poor reception in its initial gameplay reveal and then ultimately the delay announcement, as well as bringing back series veteran Joseph Staten, it's clear that something with the title's development has been, well, unclear. But now the project faces another blow to its team, in the form of game director Chris Lee leaving the project. But is this all part of the new plan? So, this week, we try to piece together what the hell Halo Infinite's future looks like, if this project is still even on the rails, and if Lee's departure could indicate an even longer delay than many seem to think. Plus, Phil Spencer and Todd Howard both offer new perspectives into the Bethesda and Xbox exclusivity discussion. Is the inevitable decision going to be one that isn't as clean as many hope to be? Also, EA is set to pay out big after Dutch courts side with its gambling authorities over loot box issues. Is the gaming industry in a perpetual loop when it comes to gambling and loot boxes? Will we ever see true evolution with them? All of this and much more on the newest episode of the Game Pass Gamecast.
Now the fun begins.
Richard.
Stop! You violated the law.
Welcome back to another episode of the Game Pass Gamecast, your weekly go-to podcast for all things Xbox Game Pass, and PC gaming, including news, rumors, and conversations around them damn good video games. You can catch new episodes of the show when they drop each and every Friday morning on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, all other major podcast services that you can think of. So, be sure to subscribe to us, rate us, review us, all that jazz, wherever you get a podcast at. We're there, baby, and if we're not, let me know. And follow us on Twitter at GPGC Podcast. Stay up to date with everything regarding the show, video games alike, and our dope giveaways, which you might want to listen to the end of the show this week, because we may have one of those dope giveaways coming up for some game that, I don't know, keeps getting fucking delayed. So, eventually, not that one, actually, not that one, another game that gets fucking delayed all the time, it seems like. But listen to the end of the show, and you may just find out what we're giving away. There's also going to be a link in the show's description as well, wherever you're getting it at, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you know what I mean. The whole rigmarole. Check it there. There'll be a link to go over to our Twitter where you'll find it. But yeah, listen to the end of the show. We'll talk about it there. Anyways, as always, I'm your host, Travis White, aka Travis on most internet platforms. Joining me as always, my partner in crime, Mike P. Pack. Mike, what's good? What's going on? And what is going on in the ever-changing world of Mike P. Pack? I can only imagine this week what it's been like for Mike P. Pack.
So,
and what have you been playing too? You know that, obviously, but
my life is always crazy. But basically, I want to just make a comment and say how sad I am that you don't have Adam Marshy Marsh to just, because that just rolls off the tongue. Like when you say Adam Marshy Marsh, it's just so perfect, and you just don't have that with me, unfortunately. But
yeah,
nevertheless,
that's the only thing that's the one big downfall with Adam not being here weekly on the podcast. I should say he still pops in time to time, obviously, but being one of our best friends, he is always on the show and will always be a part of the show. If you look every week, I still include him on the banner on the left hand side of our YouTube graphic. He'll always be.
just hoping that'll come back.
It's like Saturday Night Live, where it's like you're always a part of the cast, technically. Like, yeah, you may come back to host or whatever, yeah, you may leave, but you're always, like, technically a part of the cast. You never go away. So, you know. Anyways, go ahead, Mike.
So basically the latest game that I've been playing, and I streamed a little bit of it last night.
Yes.
I just got Amnesia Rebirth and finally started sinking my teeth into that. And I have to say, I am thoroughly impressed with Frictional Games' ability to create a very, basically the world that they built and the expansion of voice acting and just story-driven content has been leaps and bounds better than their first game. As far as immersion is concerned, like the game is super immersive, and they even do a lot of stuff with the shadows, which is interesting because when you're going crazy, when you're exposed to the dark for too long of a time, you start to see things that aren't actually there. So I was really impressed with how detailed they went with that, because they even make them look like the monster that you see, earlier-ish on in the game. They make the shadows kind of look like that, and it spooks you and stuff. So I've been really impressed with, just what they've been able to do from a fan standpoint, and I'm excited to finish it. So far, I would say it's incredible. The game is just awesome. It's
Mhm.
so unique and interesting because it's something that you don't get all the time as far as experiences. The immersion, the first person experience of just being able to, or having to hide from the monsters, is
Mhm.
awesome. And I'm thoroughly impressed so far what they've done with the story. Basically, you are a excavationist, it seems, that is in Algeria, in the middle of the African continent, a little bit more northern. And
Mhm.
it seems like it's taking place in the 1930s, which is, really, really interesting time to make a game like this about. And basically, it seems like you crash a plane. I'm not going to spoil too much, but the beginning of the game starts with a plane crash. One of my viewers, Vane9, Mike Collins, friend of the show, has appeared on the show a
Mhm.
few times. He said, like, all these games seem to start off with a plane crash, and I laughed because it does seem that way anyway. But
Mhm.
they did a really good job kind of setting the scene for what to expect. And basically, you're an excavationist, and your team has gotten separated, and you go down into these caves, and an ancient evil seems to be, you know, you seem to be exposed to an ancient evil. And then you
Mhm.
even get an amulet that allows you to kind of go through worlds, almost kind of like the Upside Down with Stranger Things. It's a similar type place, and I just think it's really awesome what they were able to do with it. I will give a full review on a later show after I completely finish the playthrough on my save, but I just want to
Mhm.
keep it spoiler free for most of the listeners out there,
Absolutely.
just in case you did want to enjoy that. Outside of that, I've been playing a little bit more NHL, but I actually just got back into a game that I did spend some time playing before, when I had my older computer that wasn't as good. It's a game called Squad. You might have seen Dr.
Oh
Disrespect
yeah.
play it. Basically, there's 100 person servers, and you kind of, it's basically like a super intensive military role playing game, but
Mhm.
it's really awesome. It's a lot of fun, and now that I have a better computer and I get better performance, it's been a heck of a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it thoroughly, and just love that game and can't speak highly enough of it. And haven't gotten the Postscriptum game, which is the World War II version of it, but I've
Mhm.
been enjoying that game a ton. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Why don't you kind of
Nice.
tell them what you've been doing?
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's weird because Squad's a game that like I've always wanted to actually sink my teeth into and like try, because I love tactical shooters. I love Rainbow Six. I love, and like we're talking like older Rainbow Six, traditional Rainbow Six, tactical, um, you know, not first person, but you know what I mean, like tactical shooting games, things like that. And even to like now, not as tactical, but you're thinking of a CS:GO or something like that, where
Yeah.
it is more squad based, it is more precision, there is more actual communication that's need to be done compared to a lot of twitchy shooters. But it's weird because I played it on a free weekend once on Steam, and I was like, fuck yes, this is, it's free, I can at least try it or whatever. And I think it's technically like still in my Steam library, I just have to obviously buy the license for it. But it never seems to be like on sale regularly, and when it is, it's like $40 or something like that. And I'm like, because when I jumped into it and tried it out, the servers, I don't know if it was just something with it being a free weekend and a ton of people were on, and they weren't necessarily ready for the amount of people who were on that. I'm
Hmm.
guessing the servers weren't able to really handle it, but it wasn't, and my computer's pretty decent. I mean, it runs everything you know very, very well, base minimum on and we're talking in 1080, but like, point being, like, should have ran very well. It wasn't necessarily that. It was a lot of, I think, things on the back end. There was a lot of rubber banding and things like that. So I'd like to try it again, but it never seems to be on sale like appropriately, where I'm like, oh yeah, it's, between $10 and $20, sure, I'll pick it up or something like that. But it never seems to be at that price. It's always like $30 or $40. I'm like, I don't know about that. But
It's an interesting experience just because you've played hardcore like game modes on Call of Duty that like kind of restrict the HUD, but the fact that there literally is no heads up display really on it, and you don't get any like notification if you actually kill people, you just kind of have to guess. So it's definitely interesting, and I enjoy it simply because the realism factor. There's no drop shotting and jump shotting and doing goofy stuff. It's just straight up. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And that is the one thing that when I did play some of it, I did like the actual realism that went to it. And a lot of people, whenever we're talking about, you'll hear it thrown around with like Call of Duty and things like that, especially with Modern Warfare this last time around. You'll see it kind of thrown around like boots on the ground, realism, things like that. And it's real for that experience that you're playing, sure, in the world of Call of Duty, but like when you play games like Squad, and like games like Arma or something like that, where it is more focused on the actual immersiveness and the immersiveness that would come with actually being within the military or something like that, where you're actually needing to go off of your surroundings and things like that in a much more tactical way compared to Call of Duty, where you got 20 guys running around a map just running and looking for bodies to fucking hit left click on. So
yep,
it's a game that I do want to get back into and actually, well, not get back into, but give it another try and actually get into it. But the only thing with that is, like you're saying, it's so much more tactical that it's like I would want to have a squad to go in with it, no pun intended. But like I'd actually want to have a group to go in with, because I'm not gonna solo queue or anything like that with it. But on my end, though, just kind of status quo as last week. I've been sinking a lot of time. I don't know why, because I still couldn't figure it out from last week or whatever. I'm sinking a lot of time into Fallout 4 again. I think it's just because, and we're obviously going to talk about this week on the show, but just because it wouldn't be a Gamecast episode if we didn't talk about fucking Xbox and Bethesda and exclusivity and all that shit. It's the hot button topic right now in the world of Xbox. So like, I don't know if it's that, and you guys know me for the most part now. Like, I'm not an apologist for Bethesda by any means whatsoever, but I am still, for all of the ups and downs they've had at times this generation in terms of their core Bethesda Game Studios properties, your Elder Scrolls, your Fallouts, your things like that. I'm still such a Bethesda fan at heart that I still think their open worlds and what they create, the lore that's built into them and baked into them is unmatched. And I truly feel that when it's not as strong as it once was, but I still think they do have that whenever you are playing a Bethesda I want to say first party Bethesda game, because it's like their own developed, not external studio, id or Arcane or anything like that, but an actual Bethesda game studio game. It has that Blizzard effect. It has that, polish and feel to it that you wouldn't find from another game studio that tries to do something in that vein. That it's right. Like, it's hard to explain. It's hard to quantify, but I don't want to say it's that blind faith that you have, because it's not like that. I think Fallout 76 burned a lot of people, and, granted, game's in a much better position supposedly now, but still, people don't forget, and, that game coming out as bad as it did, definitely tarnished that. But I like Fallout 4 a lot more than I think a lot of people do, and I think it gets a bad rep because it's always been viewed at, it's more Fallout 3, but it's streamlined Fallout 3. It's more accessible than Fallout 3 from the fact that you can give it to somebody and pick up and play, and it's much more cinematic. It's much more... I'm trying to think how to explain it. Like, it obviously pulled on the roots of Fallout 3 so much, making that first jump to the first person perspective and whatnot in almost an Elder Scrolls approach or a first person RPG. But it just felt much more cinematic. It felt much more linear at times. You definitely are leading to only a few different variants of an ending and things like that. But I think the characters so much keep drawing me back in. Like, it's more characters that, like, not half of them piss me off, but I love them so much because of that. Like, Nick Valentine pisses me off all the time, but I fucking love him because he's just a jabroni, and I love, like, him talking like this. See, yeah, see, like, I love the storyline with him. You know, going in, except for the whole fact that I'm trying to go through and, like, 100% the game, kind of as my cap off for this generation, like, for my last big open world game. But I've been wanting to go through and kind of, you know, go through and do everything in one full playthrough and get like a max level character and things like that. But that's obviously a large undertaking. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. But, you know, all the different storylines within it, I think are such a... It's such a good representation of what Bethesda does best in terms of its writing and its world building and its lore, because each faction felt so diverse in it. And I think that just keeps drawing me back in, because I always love experiencing... Traditionally, every time I play through it, I go with one specific faction when I go through. And that's just any Fallout, any, you know, Elder Scrolls, yada, yada. And then I'll go back and go through each one. But this time I'm trying to do all of them in one full swoop or whatever. So it's a game that I kind of want to finish, and I never feel like I actually gave it the full effect that I wanted to, because the game keeps pulling me back in, but I don't feel like as much of a connection as, you know, obviously Oblivion or even Skyrim, to that matter. Well, I put it above Skyrim, but even compared to like Fallout 3, New Vegas, anything like that. So, but going back and experiencing this game with fresh eyes and everything like that, and wanting to invest in it, it's to me, it's such a great game that I think it gets a bad rap a little bit. Deservedly so in some areas. Trust me, agreed on all of that. But overall, it's one of those games that I really love. And I'm shocked at the same time that I love it this much, that, you know, I'm on my 4th or 5th playthrough of it, and I'm like still experiencing new things within it for the first time. So outside of that, though, won't go on too long about this, though, just because it's a PlayStation game, but it ties back into something I'm probably going to do this weekend with my fiance, and that's I went through and did 100% playthrough, got the platinum in Until Dawn, because we usually play that once a year at Halloween time, something like that. That's kind of been one of our new like little traditions, and seeing what happens this time. But I figured, you know, one of my favorite games of this gen, cool, I'll go back and get the platinum. It's not that difficult, yada yada, but really want to do that because I wanted to set the mood for the newest Dark Pictures anthology that's coming out this weekend, Little Hope. And I'm really excited about that. It's getting kind of mixed reviews, more so positive than negative, but there are some negative ones, but not as many as I felt that Man of Medan have, which is obviously a good, you know, trend in the right direction. But Man of Medan just... I appreciate that these games are smaller and they're more bite-sized, and they're more, hey, we want to focus on having a steady stream coming out, comparative to, you know, hey, when we had Until Dawn, there was a drought a little bit after that, and, you know, was such a high hit, but then, you know, we want to be able to streamline our development and get these smaller experiences out to you once a year or something like that, which I can appreciate. But at the same time, you know, Man of Medan didn't fucking blow my socks off. I thought it was a little poorly written. There were some cool twists in it, but it didn't make me want to go back and say, man, I want to go back through and play, you know, do another. And granted, the playthrough was only, I think, maybe 3 or 4 hours. But it didn't want to make me or my fiance go back through and be like, yeah, let's find out what happens to this character this time around if we do this. Like, there was no driving force, like Until Dawn. I love those characters so much. I mean, goddamn... Godspeed, Pilgrim. Like, fucking Christ. I loved those characters so much in that game that I wanted to figure out, you know, what happens if this one dies? What happens if you make this choice with this character? Do they live? Do they die? What's going on with the Wendigo? Like, you know, things like that I actually truly loved with that experience. I want to see in these new ones. They're just not getting there yet. But I think this could be a little bit more of a return to form with Little Hope, with the material being much more, I think, akin to Until Dawn, with more witchcraft, ghosts, things like that are... I think the boat setting hurt Man of Medan a little bit, but I think Little Hope kind of going back into more horror roots will kind of, I think, could maybe, you know, set the course straight a little bit more for Supermassive games, you know, moving forward. So Mike, with that being said, I don't want to drag on too long because we're recording a little bit later. We both had long days. We're ready to get rolling, man. Let's head into Button Mash for this week because we got a lot to talk about. So, kicking it off here, run through some quick hit news stories before we head into our big topics for this week. Cyberpunk 2077 will be delayed yet again. That's what I was talking about at the top of the hour. Shocker, I know, right? Cyberpunk 2077 will be delayed again by 21 days, with a new release date set for December 10th, 2020. CD Projekt Red announced the news in a statement on Twitter, citing the immense task of shipping Cyberpunk 2077 across 9 consoles and 2 generations of hardware. Speaking on a conference call after the game's delay to December 10th, reported by Pat Business, CD Projekt Red CEO Adam Krasinski explained that there would be no further delays and that this most recent pushback was a different situation to previous release date changes. Quote, the game for PC is ready and plays well on next-gen consoles, and the company is finalizing the process concerning current-gen consoles. That suggests that current-gen console performance was the reason for the delay, something which I pulled kind of this info chunk from IGN. They suggest they had heard from independently from sources close to CD Projekt Red. Here's a cool one, Mike, which is kind of odd at the same time. Gears 5 is getting new story DLC, which is dope because I fucking love Gears 5, and that's coming in December, alongside with an update for next-gen systems that we knew. That includes New Game Plus, increased performance, visual upgrades, and here's the kind of fucking weird one but cool at the same time. The ability to swap Marcus Phoenix's character model for fucking Dave Bautista. Like WWE fucking E Batista. And fully voiced. He did all the VO, the full fucking script for Marcus Phoenix in Gears 5. His whole fucking script. He did it and voiced it.
It's like the man has wanted to play that role in a movie so bad. They're like, fine, just play him in the game. And he's like, down.
Holy shit, you just want to fucking come be in the game? If you goddamn quit talking about it, let's go. No, but it is really cool. Miranda Sanchez over at IGN, she did talk to the Coalition about this and kind of was really one of the bigger writers to kind of break the news about all this or whatever, do a feature story on it. But she did a lot of really great info, and they're as much it seems like championing for Dave Bautista to be in this fucking movie in the same vein of being like, you could tell they're mutual fans of each other. They're like, fucking just, yeah, why not? He was already in the game to begin with as a multiplayer, he was like a skin or a character you can unlock in multiplayer or buy in multiplayer, or whatever it be. So realistically, getting his model in there wasn't that bad. So it's literally probably him coming in, doing a day of like VO, maybe 2 tops, that it's like, fucking, why not? Whatever. Come on in. Let's do it. Anyway, speaking of next gen, Ubisoft has dropped an article detailing how its current gen titles and upcoming slate of games will be enhanced on next gen consoles, specifically, in our case with Xbox Series X that we're talking. This includes the following. Watch Dogs Legion will run at 4K with ray tracing. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be 4K 60. Immortals Phoenix as well, 4K 60. Far Cry 6, 4K 60, which also just got delayed past quarter 1 of next year. So I'll try to find a date on that, but I don't think they released it, to be quite honest. I'll have to double check. Anyways, Riders Republic, that'll be on 4K 60 as well. For Honor at 4K 60, and then Rainbow Six Siege at 4K 120, which is pretty cool on consoles. While Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition will be enhanced in many ways on both Xbox Series X and S, only the Xbox Series X will support ray tracing. This was announced by Capcom. Both versions will support the high frame rates up to 120 frames per second, enhanced 3D audio, reduced load time, stuff like that, the legendary Dark Knight difficulty, turbo mode, and playable Virgil character in it, but won't support ray tracing on the Xbox Series S. Squadrons, Star Wars Squadrons, game that I kind of reviewed that was 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't know, a while ago. Go back, listen to it. We talked about Star Wars Squadrons, how it didn't necessarily click with me, but I would like to go back to it. No, I've had a little time with it. But anyways, Star Wars Squadrons is celebrating the launch of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, which I'm fucking hyped for, this week with some free DLC that includes a dashboard decoration of Baby Yoda, or the child as they called him in the show. Just call him Baby Yoda. Come on, let's just.
He's Baby Yoda. Everyone knows who the hell he is.
Yeah, all the boomers on Facebook, that's all they know him as. He can't change it now. So, now, this was announced as part of Star Wars Mando Mondays. The Mandalorian supply drop will arrive on October 28th, so if you're listening to this, it's live now. Go ahead and jump in and get it. And also includes the Razor Crest gunship, and Beskar Ignat hanging flare, IG series assassin droid dashboard flare, and Blurg and Bounty holograms, which is also cool to note too, because they did say EA Motive did say that they weren't doing any DLC or anything like that for Star Wars Squadron. So it's cool to see them kind of be like, you know what, we were working on this. We did, I'm sure that's coming down from Disney and Star Wars saying, fucking put this in there type of thing. But it is cool that they did kind of not go back on their word, but say, we'll provide some things like this at times. So Fortnite has, quote, many years of Marvel integration planned beyond the current Nexus War featured in Chapter 2, Season 4 of the game, and has years of general storytelling for the Battle Royale in the works. As reported by Eurogamer, Epic Games Studios' worldwide creative director, Donald Mustard, revealed the news as part of his appearance on episode 469 of the This Week podcast This Week in Marvel podcast, if I can get that straight. Quote, the reason we call the season Nexus War is that this is just the start of lots of stuff we had planned for many years of Marvel integration, Mustard told the host. Quote, this is not the end, this is the beginning. Fortnite's latest crossover with pop culture has brought in Ghostbusters as well, themed items to its item shop just in time for Halloween. Revealed on Twitter, the Ghostbusters crossover brings in character skins, ghost traps, and proton pack back bling, an ecto glider, and a proton pickaxe harvesting tool. Shout out to Greg Miller, man. I know he's going to jump in and grab all that stuff. And then lastly, in one of its many possible live-action incarnations, this is kind of weird, I guess, Halo was at one point set to become a movie directed by Guillermo del Toro, if you remember. According to one of the original game's developers, the director at one point was pitching for an adaptation in which Master Chief had an evil twin that sided with the enemy faction, the Flood. Speaking on the latest episode of IGN's Devs React to Speedrun series, centered on Halo Combat Evolved, environmental artist and creator of Halo's title, Paul Russell, brought up a mooted Del Toro script for a Halo movie and brought up a surprising plot detail. Quote, Master Chief had a twin brother, and the twin brother sided with the Flood, and then at the end of the movie was going to be brothers against brother. So, yeah, I guess that was going to be a thing, and thank God that didn't become a thing.
Yeah,
I'll be quite honest.
That didn't happen. That sounds terrible.
So, Mike, before we kick it into our main topics for this week, anything you want to run back through Button Mash?
I mean, obviously the Cyberpunk news is probably the biggest news of the entire, besides our news article. Like, obviously something that I have talked about on the show multiple times, saying that this was going to happen, and nobody else seemed to believe it. They were all like, no, there's no way. If they delayed it once, it's not getting delayed again. And here we are getting delayed again, which, I mean,
here I am once again.
It is what it is. Obviously the game, they have a very high standard that they want the game to get to before they release it, and I can respect that. So obviously super frustrating for the team, when they were saying, oh, no crunch, oh, mandatory crunch. Now, oh, the game's getting delayed again, so why were we crunching? Oh, we were crunching, and still the game couldn't get out in time. I mean, just a lot of different stuff like that just comes to mind that I just felt like touching on really quickly. Outside of that,
just before you continue to, I wanted to kind of add into that, because this broke earlier today and this was after I kind of put together the run of show for this week, but CD Projekt Red's Adam Krasinski that we talked about earlier, the chairman and creative director behind the game, president of CD Projekt Red, he did an interview too that talked about the studio's crunch policy and was on record saying, like, during their investment, it was during an investor call, that's right, that he basically said, like, the crunch isn't that bad. It's not that bad. Like, it compared to many, it's not that bad. And then instantly turned around and sent an email to his employees saying that I completely apologizing. Like, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know why I said that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just don't know what to feel about them anymore, man. Like, it's so like, I love their games. Like, and I'm so glad I could say that I love their games after really about a year ago almost now, finally clicking with The Witcher 3 and like deeply loving that game and that series now, and being very excited for Cyberpunk, and knowing whether that game's clicked with me or not, knowing the pedigree that they have and the talent they have that these games make. Like, they're still going to be great games even if I don't click with them. And I can still recognize that. But I was very excited for this game. And, like, it's weird. Like, the more this stuff comes out with it and the more that we hear about this, and, both of you and I, Mike, are obviously on the same page that we seem to always side with, employee rights and, things like that, and sticking up for employees and things like that, that, to me, it's waning me a little bit off about this game. Like, knowing just, like, not a ton, like, there's certain parts to it, it's like, okay, yeah, you did sign up for certain things, yada yada, what comes with the job, but at the same time, it's like, there are a lot of things with it that are starting to rub me the wrong way with this game, that it's like, I'm gonna feel not completely guilty, but I'm gonna be like, man, this game was beautiful, but did they really need to, like, when I graze this, like, fucking sandbag that's on the side of the road, and each grain of sand is intricately, like, designed and will, like, has the physics to follow real life, like, is that worth it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely, it's something that you see a lot of companies go through, quite frankly, and it's just straight up, like, whenever a company turns corporate, essentially, is what it almost feels like. Like, this is something that, like, a corporation does, not like a company that cares about their employees or their families or anything does. So it definitely just feels like the team at CD Projekt Red have just kind of gotten I wouldn't even, like, I mean, I can't, like, justify blaming all of capitalism to call it, like, a capitalist bug, but it's definitely like a corporation bug. Like, it seems like they have fully transformed now all the way to, like, full on corporation, which is cool because it means that they're super successful and things are going well for them. And that's awesome, especially when we see a lot of dev studios, their doors getting shuttered, people losing jobs, things of that nature. But, there's a balance to everything. And it seems like they are going the wrong direction. They're going from, like, a cult classic hero type fan base to a corporation pretty quick, and it's sad to see, and hopefully they right the ship, but it does seem like they're caught up in trying to make as much money as fast as possible.
Yeah, and to a degree, I can kind of understand that too. This is their previously, and I'm just going to use The Witcher 3 as an example because that was their last game that they shipped. That was published by WB Games. They were the ones who, distributed the game, where the sales of that game and the popularity of that game now push them into, and the critical acclaim, not only the commercial acclaim, but the critical acclaim, pushed, I think, CD Projekt Red into the stratosphere that now they've seen so much more investing, they've seen so much more, and now that they're a publicly traded company too, they have that private they have the extra amount of money that's coming through, that they're able to self-publish this game now. They're taking the Bungie route in self-publishing now. So technically they're an indie studio, I guess you could call them.
Yeah.
But it is, I can understand that to a degree, where it's like, you aren't answering to an EA, you're not answering to an Activision or something like that, where, there may be certain, hey, I don't have to worry about necessarily keeping the lights on if X, Y, and Z doesn't sell. They're worried about that on the back end, where now they're worried about making this game as best as possible because it comes back to them. But at the same time, too, then that falls on them whenever it comes to employee relations and things like that, where it's like, cool, you're not answering to anybody else, you're answering to yourself, so you can boot this game. You're not going to a publisher and saying, it's not like 343 going to, Phil Spencer and Microsoft, or, whoever within Microsoft saying, hey, we got to bump Halo Infinite. Like, they had to make that phone call and say, like, hey, this game can't launch with this. Do we get the okay from you? Yes. Like, it's not a good conversation to have, I'm sure, but they don't have to do that. They're the ones making the choices at the end of the day. Like, they still have the majority ownership in the company. They may be public, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they're not answering to anyone. So I don't know, man. It's such a weird. I'm still very, very, very excited for this game. I can't wait to play it. It's going to be fucking awesome. And I'm very excited now that's past the launch. There's much more wiggle room past the launch of next-gen consoles, because I'll have Spider-Man Miles Morales, if I can spit it out, to play. That's kind of a tongue twister. Have that to play. Then I'm going to be one to dive into, check out games on Xbox Series X. I want to play Yakuza. Like, there's going to be a ton of stuff. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like, I'll actually be able to fucking invest time into that between launch of next gen and those games and Cyberpunk. Because if Cyberpunk came out, something's got to give. I don't have all the fucking time in the world to play games. So it is what it is. But Mike, let's head into our big topics for this week. And I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer bit of talking, because it's not great, man. It's really not great. But first topic, we're gonna kick it off here. Microsoft's new Halo game, Halo Infinite, of course, loses top director after project's delay. This comes from Jason Schreier over on Bloomberg. The one, the only Jason Schreier. As always, link in the description to all of the articles we read over here. Make sure you go over there, give Jason a click, as well as all the authors on here, especially the next chunk that we're going to talk about. There's a couple different articles jammed into one, so make sure you go over there and give everyone clicks, especially Jason, because I kind of pull a lot from his. Turbulence continues on Microsoft Corp's Halo Infinite video game with the departure of the project's director, Chris Lee, who oversaw production of Halo Infinite at 343 Industries, which is developing the game for Microsoft, is no longer working on it, he confirmed to Bloomberg News on Wednesday. Lee is the second top director on the project to leave in the past 2 years. Quote, "I've stepped back from Infinite and I'm looking at future opportunities," Lee said. "I believe in the team and I'm confident they will deliver a great game, and now is a good time for me to step away," end quote. The highly anticipated next Halo installment was originally slated to come out alongside Microsoft's launch of its next-gen Xbox Series X console in November. The game was delayed in early August, however, following poor fan reception to an early public version. Lee's role was sidelined, a few weeks later, as Microsoft brought in Halo veteran Joe Staten to lead the single-player campaign and another senior executive, Pierre Heinz, to run multiplayer. Lee has been at 343 Industries since 2008, a year after its founding, overseeing the Halo series. Since 2016, his title has been Partnered Studio Head. Quote, "Chris Lee remains a Microsoft employee, and while he has stepped back from Halo Infinite right now, we appreciate all he has done for the project to date," Microsoft said in a emailed statement. The development of Halo Infinite has been rocky. In August 2019, 343 Industries lost its creative director, Tim Longo, and executive producer, Mary Olson. At the same time, the company said that, quote, "The overall creative vision and production of the game remains led by Chris Lee." Pushing the game's release beyond November was a blow for Microsoft, which was relying on the game to help sell new Xbox consoles in the holiday season. Retail boxes for the Xbox Series X, which is kind of funny to note at this time, still feature the artwork of Master Chief, the main character of Halo. Halo Infinite doesn't currently have a release date, but 343 has said it will be out next year. We'll see. Man, I'll tell you what, Mike, to be a fucking fly on the wall at 343, like right now, like just really the past 6 to 12 months, just to be a fly on the wall to see what has gone down with this game. Like, and you know me by this point, and I'm talking to the audience right now, and Mike already knows me for fucking 26 years now, but audience at this point probably knows me 70 fucking episodes in. I would hope so, which is crazy to think. In that I will always side with devs, and I will always side with their creative rights and, whatnot when it comes to that. Like, I may not like it. I was just talking about this earlier in the episode. I may not like it in the direction that they take, but that doesn't mean that this is a bad game. I may not, like, for the longest time, The Witcher 3 did not click with me. But I knew how good of a game it was and realized all the great things that it was doing, that, sure, it just didn't click with me. And that's okay. Like, that's not a problem. And even after seeing the gameplay of Infinite this past summer, I stayed positive. I mean, you could look at my live reactions that are up on our YouTube channel right now. You can go over there and see it. I was, like, hyped. I was like, gunplay looks great. I love me personally, I like the kind of, I don't want to, the art style was a choice for sure, but the vehicle art style, and you could definitely tell it was leaning into the CE look of Halo, which I liked personally. I don't need everything to be uber detailed and militaristic and everything. I don't need that, and that's what kind of drew me away from Halo 4 and 5, but and after seeing that gameplay, like I said, I was positive, but man, it's getting harder and harder to have to, have confidence that this product will be delivered in a fashion that isn't questionable. Like, there's questions that are arising with me on this project in a legitimate fashion at this point. So, Mike, what does Chris's departure say about the current state of the project in general and, where it's headed? Obviously, we're talking from the outside looking in. We're not, we don't have we're not connected to 343 from the inside type of thing. We're not going to assume, but looking at it from the outside perspective, and, could this mean that Joe Staten's role is a little bit bigger than maybe a lot of people expected. And really, I guess in all of that looking, could Infinite's release date even go past its quote unquote new 2021 release date? Could we see this go to 2022?
I was a big proponent of saying like I could see that happening, and that's not me being like, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or be the type of person that's like, I told you so, I told you so. No, it's just simply a fact of like, it's a lot worse at 343 than what anyone probably thought, and that's just, you know, me keeping it 100.
Yeah.
I just think that like, I just think you have a really weird situation here where like you're just yeah, I think it's going to get delayed again, but I think this is for the best. If basically I think this is the best thing that 343 could have done, because quite frankly, let me be honest with you, Chris Lee, sure, I'm sure he's a terrific person, terrific employee, terrific family man, whatever. But when it comes to making Halo games, he stinks because he made Halo 4 and he made Halo 5. And you know what? Like, I'm going to not mince words here. He stinks. He's a bum. The Halo 4 and Halo 5 stunk. They stunk from a campaign standpoint, okay? Like, Halo 4 was okay story-wise, but the Forerunners, all that stunk. You stink. Yeah. Like, get out of here with that. And Halo 5, you suck. Move on. And they finally are moving on. Is it too little too late? We'll see. But definitely could see this easily leaking into 2021 or 2022. I think they will squeeze it out by the end of 2021. But that's simply because if you don't get this game out by 2021 and you had 5 million or 6 years, it's going to be 6 years. You had how much money? I mean, if you don't release the game by then, dude, like, forget it. You might as well scrap it and try something else. Like, I would hate for there to never be another Halo, but at the same time, if you're going to keep releasing disservices to the entire franchise, just save it. Like, I don't want it. You know what I mean?
No, see, that's what, and we kind of talked about this, you know, obviously off the show or whatever, but a little bit, but, you know, I kind of brought up, there is supposedly another project in the works at 343, which 343, very fucking big development studio. I mean, my God, they've been in, you know, production now and making games now for well over 10 years, you know, so they have a talent pool of hundreds of people to pull from, that this isn't a very small studio. Plus, they're already relying on multiple support studios as well. What's the one that's in Dallas that worked on, I can't remember, Certain Affinity, something, I think that's what it is. That's supporting them. They did Halo CE's anniversary and stuff like that. And I think they helped on 2's anniversary as well. But, you know, there's supposedly there is another project that is in the works there. Like, they have multiple teams there, obviously, that are working on different things. And supposedly there is another project in the works. And I even brought up that I wouldn't be shocked if we eventually, depending, obviously, I think a lot of this falls on how Infinite is going and how Infinite releases and the reception it gets and things like that, because I'm sure, I'll be quite honest, I think they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants right now. Like, I really do, in terms of they're in uncharted waters where I don't think they fully expected to get the backlash they did from, and the reception they did from that demo. Now, there were people who were positive on certain things, and it's not all negative. I think people like to dogpile at times where it's like, fuck, all right, man, like, it's not that bad. Like, it's not like somebody fucking put out a Flash game and said, here you go, here's Halo Infinite. Like,
yeah,
you get what I mean? Like, it's, come
on
now, let's fucking be real. But at the same time, though, like, you know, there were a lot of deserved criticisms with that game for the development time that's had, the budget that it has behind it, but I know that they couldn't have been prepared for that backlash. And it's clear that with this delay that, you know, it seems like compared to previous entries, compared to where Microsoft wants this franchise to go, which that's another thing too. Luckily, you know, and I say this as a Halo fan, because I want every fucking game, no matter what franchise it is, whether it's a franchise I love, hate, whatever, I want every game to succeed, because games succeeding, and I truly believe this, we're in a new golden age of gaming right now. Gaming's never been better than before because of all the experiences we're getting now and the vast array of experiences, from we're still getting beautiful 2D sprite indie games to large blockbuster Cyberpunk 2077-esque open world experiences that are narrative heavy. Like, we have such a broad range of games, and they can all live and stand on their own, that it only helps the industry whenever, games get made well and are received well. That means more people are gaming, more people are wanting to get in and play these games, or they're going to draw more people in. So I want these games to be well, and I don't think Microsoft will release this game bad. Like, I don't think they'll let this game be bad. Now,
They can't.
Will it be great? That's a question. But I fully envision that, and this is good, bad, and different, whatever, how you want to look at it. I think Phil Spencer and the team at Microsoft, and specifically that, we're talking the more executive end of this, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, all those guys. I'm sure Aaron Greenberg's involved with it, head of marketing too. It's to that point where I'm sure they kind of are saying it's ready when it's ready. Almost the Cyberpunk approach, saying like, yeah, I'm sure we're fucking, spending a shit ton of money for this fucking game, and I'm sure it seems like they're gonna upheave a lot of things in this game, especially if they're turning it around this fast, or they're taking this much time with it in a delay like this. But I mean, it's, to me, like, they just can't release this game bad. Like, because at that point, then I totally agree with you. They need to can it. They need to bring in, I mean, that needs to be, and normally, sometimes I'm like, whenever you're like, you kind of punch down at 343, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that, yada, yada. But it's your opinion, by all means. You're entitled to. I totally respect that. And the ins and outs of the competitive end of Halo and everything like that. Like, you've been more experienced on that end. So I fully respect that opinion. But sometimes I'm like, whatever. But I'll be honest, I'm hearing, and I feel much more confident saying this too, but the amount of, people who are well-versed, well-educated, been in this industry a long time, both from the media, both from the actual games end of it, like, who are saying, if this game doesn't do well, if this game is bad, if this is a bad game, then you need to scrap 343. Like,
Yeah,
you need,
exactly.
Like, you need
You
to
had
cut ties
5
with them.
years
You
and
need
an
to,
unlimited budget?
right, and more so not in the end of, hey, everybody loses their job, but hey, move on to something else. We'll redesign, we'll redo this studio, give it a new purpose, I guess, a new outlet. And that's the only thing that I'm not crazy about with how Microsoft does its studios of, 343 Industries is the Halo studio. Oh, the Coalition is the Gears studio. Like, it's fine. You could have those pseudo things. I mean, you look on PlayStation's end, you have Naughty Dog. That's The Last of Us, Uncharted, like stuff like that. But they all have more than one identity. And sometimes I think that kind of hurts Microsoft to a degree that I'm not crazy about. Like, I feel like sometimes it seems like the devs can get, or at least from a creative end, can get a little boxed in. But at the same time, these titles are huge. These are huge franchises. These are tentpole franchises for Microsoft, for God's sake. So it's hard to really say, what works, what doesn't with that end, I guess. But I can't fathom this. One, I can't fathom this game being released in a bad state. Like, at this point, like, get it right, whatever. But I mean, you have to. I mean, and Halo will never go away. I don't know. You can try. I'll wrap up my long fucking monologue with this, I guess, or my long-winded answer, and I'll let you talk about it, Mike. But like, to me, it's like, if this comes back, or this game does come out bad, you have to can 343. There's no, or repurpose them, and by that means Halo was always going to be a Microsoft franchise. It will never go anywhere because it sells. It still sells. It still does excellent big metrics. If you look at a lot of analytics for video, Halo still moves numbers like big time.
Yep.
That, you know what, like, cool, reboot it. And I'm not talking like Halo Combat Evolved right from the beginning type of thing. No, they'll just be Halo. Like, which I think a lot of people were kind of hoping this title would be just Halo and evolve from there, but I don't know, man. I'm at a loss for words kind of at this point with this game, man.
I already wanted them, like 343, to get canned for delaying a game that they had 5 years and unlimited dollars to spend on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I already wanted them gone because let's be honest, like, if you have 5 years and an unlimited budget to make a game and you miss that deadline, like I don't care. Like COVID isn't a valid excuse for me because you had 5 years. Like for them to delay the game the way they did, as late as they did, when the game was supposed to come out holiday season, there's no way that game was ever making it out on time anyway. There's just no chance. Like, if that's what we saw from the demo, and granted, I might have been overtly tough on the demo, but it's because it's just like, it's a complete and total disregard for basically anything that made Halo Halo. And if that's the type of people you have, if you have people, you know, you said that people might feel boxed in creatively, like if that's the case, like if you don't want to work on Halo, that's fine. But why are you, like, I get, like, basically I've read online on Reddit and some other places that a lot of people are using 343 as a stepping stone because it's like, oh, look, I worked on Halo. Now I can go work on what I want to work on. And if it's like, if you don't want to work on Halo and you want to make it a piece of shit, like, by all means, like, if that's how you want your life to be lived, but like, it doesn't, I just can't believe that people that have that mentality can go get another job at another studio if they made a steaming pile of crap. Now, people might look at Halo 5 and say, oh, AAA game, runs okay, doesn't crash very much, decent campaign, decent multiplayer, you know, that's a high level game right there. And we want people who worked on that in our studio. Like, I can understand that. Like, at that point they've, you know, worked on a big project, and it means that they have the chops that they need to work on something bigger. But I mean, it's just, to me, there's other games that you can go ruin with your piss poor mentality or attitude. Like, at the end of the day, we all work because, like, we all need a job, right? Like, I totally understand that. But if you can get a job at 343 working for 343 in any capacity, it almost seems to me like you would be able to get a job at another studio of some sort. And I know COVID's doing crazy things with the job market, so I'm not trying to sound, you know, like a lack of empathy, but like, at some point, like, you've had the biggest budget that any game has ever had in the history of mankind,
and
you're going to burn through
you saying that isn't that off base, because I've heard that this game's budget is just astronomical compared to many. I mean, like,
and that
crazy.
Like, you have one of the biggest budgets of all time for a video game, but you're burning through it by hiring and firing these people that obviously aren't the right fit. And I don't know if that's an HR problem, if they're hiring the wrong people. I don't know where the problem lies when you're hiring such shit cans all the time. But whatever is going on at 343 from the top to bottom is frightening. It's terrifying. From an employee standpoint, from a fan standpoint, I'm terrified. I only play games that Bungie created because they're better than the ones that 343 have made. I'm sorry. Like, that's just the fact. And it's been 12 years and I'm still playing Halo 3 because it works and it's fun. Like, that's pathetic, you know? It sucks. And at the end of the day, the only point I could have made on this entire rant that I went on, that I felt like drug on, and I just need to put it out of its misery like 343 needs. I just literally, you had 5 years and an unlimited budget and you missed the deadline, period. That's it. That's all that needs to be said about a company or about a studio that should just be shit canned and started from scratch. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And that's when we had to talk about Microsoft and Bungie supposedly talking. And at first I was like, there's no way. And then they bought Bethesda and it's like, well, shit, that probably happened. And it's like, they have so much money, it would have almost been cool for them to buy them and be like, yeah, I know you wanted to get away from Halo, but guess what, bitch? You're back on it. Get on that horse.
Yeah, I mean, and you saying that too, I mean, there's some kind of theory circulating around that, like, oh, now, you know, one of the reasons why Bethesda was bought, and not the main reason, but, you know, one of the things is, which is true to an extent, because studios do, when they're under an overarching wing, like, you know, like Xbox Game Studios, like, you know, PlayStation's first party, you know, PlayStation Worldwide Studios, things like that. Like, when they're under that overarching, you know, umbrella, they can share, you know, development tools, software tools, engine tools, things like that. Like, tech they can share like it's encouraged. So like when I say this, like some of the theories that I've seen aren't that like preposterous, but like some are like, oh, well now like there's a theory going around that one of the big positives is now it is going to help 343 with the development of Halo Infinite and things like that, and use some of their tech, the id Tech software and stuff like that. And it's like those are two drastically different games, like from what they're trying, like from what Infinite, the game Infinite is being pseudo open world and things like that, like compared to Doom Eternal even, which did have some more verticality and expansive levels, is totally not the same type of game at all. Like it just, but from a, you know, tech standpoint, that could be possible, absolutely, but it's just, it's funny to see some of these things pop up, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But like, I'm curious too, and I brought this up, you know, I think we're both in agreement that like this fucking thing could go easily past 2021 now. Like I could see this being a summer 2022 game. But I don't think 2021, like a holiday 2021, this being their big game to kind of, you know, kick off the new generation of Xbox first-party titles, being a holiday 2021 release date, I don't think that's preposterous to think. But, like, do you think now, too, and we'll kind of wrap it up after this and move on to the next one, because we got some more stuff to talk about, but, like, do you think Joe Staten's like role now is a lot bigger than what I think a lot of people thought? Him coming in is more, it seemed like more of like a consultant role to help the team kind of button up the campaign on the back end and kind of get them through this home stretch. Do you think this is a much bigger role now?
Will, I do think, you know, if Chris Lee's position basically became redundant, which is what it actually kind of sounds like happened.
Yeah.
Like,
I
sounds
totally
like
agree.
it sounds like he was completely and totally redundant. They took basically everything away from him. And for him to leave at this point is kind of a Bush League move, for lack of better words. Like, you know, you went this far. Yeah, you were doing a shitty job and you got replaced. So your idea is to leave the studio basically saying, oh, I'm going to go work on other stuff. But really your ego and pride is hurt. And, you know, as a human, I can understand that.
It is important to note, I'm not sure if that was his choice or Microsoft's choice. It's kind of up in the air still from what it sounds like. But it very may well have been his choice. Like, yo, I'm reading the room right now. Maybe it's my time type of thing.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I do think that you know, his job just became redundant, and whether that was, you know, bringing Joe Staten's role, you know, bringing Joe Staten in, you know, if that was the death knell to his life at 343, sorry, but I mean, you shouldn't have let it get to as bad as it's gotten. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the way it is. You know, I don't know what else to say about it. I feel for anyone that loses their job, because you don't want anyone to lose their job. But for me, Halo is so close to home that it's like, there's certain positions that you hate to see anyone lose their job, but there are things that I feel less bad about. I guess I'll put it that way. If someone from 343 working on Halo gets fired and the game's better because of it, great. If Jim Rutherford gets fired from the Penguins because of asset mismanagement, I'd be thrilled. If everyone from the Pirates got canned, that'd be amazing. But that's because I have personal affinities to those organizations, those teams, those games that, like, to me, yeah, it sucks when anyone loses their job, but I've lost jobs before, and I've, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, sonny. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, do a better job. If I did that shitty of a job at my job, I'd get shit canned, and they wouldn't even think twice about it. I wouldn't even get unemployment. So, like, it is what it is. It's just, to me, it's a part of life, and I just hope that, you know, with Joe Staten, seems like he's taken over. I hope it gets a little bit more back to the roots, because not that the changes were bad, but you're just alienating such a huge amount of your fan base whenever you're just changing things for the sake of changing. And I can't stand when people just change things just to do it. Like, why? Why bother? Like, you had something that worked. You had a formula that worked great. Why are you just changing things just to be different? I don't understand it, you know?
Right. No, I totally agree with that. It's going to be, it's just going to be so interesting to see where this game goes and what happens and what transpires over the next at least year. I don't see this game coming out any earlier than holiday 2021. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's great, but I really think this is going to be next year's, at the earliest, next year's, like, big holiday title for Xbox. But fucking A, man. I love Halo. I just want we both, that's all we want is for Halo to succeed, and Halo to, what we get out of that franchise, everyone get out of that franchise. And, you know, it just sucks to see it struggling this much. It shouldn't be this hard, but, you know, I don't know. I'm just at a loss for words, man. It sucks. But anyways, Mike, let's move on before we drag this in, because we could probably talk all fucking day about this shit.
Yeah.
I call this topic Bethesda and Xbox bullshit, because there's like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I'm putting it all under there because there's like a couple different articles that I'm going to pull from. And when I was putting this together, I was just like, I'll just put it as bullshit for now.
Man,
So-
who thought whenever Microsoft bought Bethesda, like, signed, sealed, delivered, drama's over, who cares? But boy, were we wrong.
Yeah, and that's actually going to come into play, the whole signed, sealed, delivered thing. So let's kick it off here. Xbox isn't actively planning Bethesda's future until after the acquisition is complete. And the first article, overarching article I'm going to read from is a, you know, excerpt from, or that has excerpts from an interview by Magnus Groth Anderson over at Games Reactor that he had with Phil Spencer. So I'm going to link both of those in the description. Definitely go over and read that interview. It's fucking fantastic. He did a great job doing that. But this kind of write-up that Logan did, I think, kind of summarizes it best. So Xbox head Phil Spencer is not actively planning the future for Bethesda because Microsoft's acquisition of ZeniMax Media is not yet complete. In an interview with Games Reactor, Spencer said he expects the acquisition to be finalized by early next year. Quote, first of all, I would like to say that we haven't acquired ZeniMax, Spencer said. We have announced our intention to acquire ZeniMax. It's going through regulatory approval, and we don't see any issues there. Spencer said it would be illegal for him to sit down with Bethesda director Todd Howard and ZeniMax Media CEO Robert Altman to make future plans until Microsoft officially acquires ZeniMax. Long term, Spencer said he wants ZeniMax Studios, including Bethesda Arcane, id Software, Machine Games, and more, to create the best games they've ever made, aided by the support of Microsoft. In September, Microsoft announced plans to buy ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion. With the acquisition, franchises including The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, and Starfield will join Xbox first-party portfolio. Microsoft said it plans to honor the previous agreements Bethesda made with Sony to release Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo as PlayStation 5 exclusives. As far as exclusivity for future titles from Bethesda and other ZeniMax studios, we've heard Microsoft will make decisions on a case-by-case basis. Again, until the acquisition is complete, Spencer said he isn't mapping out future plans for Bethesda. Quote, I get a lot of questions right now. Is this game exclusive? Is this game exclusive? Spencer said. And right now, that is not my job in regards to ZeniMax Media. My job is not to sit down and go through their portfolio and dictate what happens. And then following that up, that kind of just came out today, Bethesda boss says it's, quote, hard to imagine Elder Scrolls 6 being Xbox exclusive. And this write-up's from Joe Scrubbles over on IGN. Bethesda Game Studio director Todd Howard has said it's hard to imagine that Elder Scrolls 6 as a fully Xbox exclusive game in a new interview that touches on many aspects of ZeniMax Media's acquisition by Microsoft. In the interview, GamesIndustry.biz's James Batchelor, as always, like I said, I'll link this as well in the description, go over there, excellent article, or excellent interview as well too, posed the idea that seeing the Elder Scrolls 6 as an exclusive was hard to imagine, particularly as the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim owes some of its huge success to the sheer number of consoles it was launched on. Howard replied by saying, quote, I would agree that it's hard to imagine, but would say no more on these subjects. So, like I said, it would not be an episode of GPGC if we didn't talk about Microsoft, Bethesda, and exclusivity, right? While me personally, I still think that Phil's comments that we talked about last week on the show, kind of citing that, you know, Microsoft doesn't have to have Bethesda's titles multi-platform to make that deal work for them. Like, they can keep them internally and it'll work. And that, I think that says a lot. I think that's going to be the end result, you know, now. But it is important to remember that Microsoft technically has no say in Bethesda until sometime after the new year. Like, they don't own them now. They've only announced the intent to own them. And with the way that, you know, the financial situation is handled, legally they cannot do that yet. So with that being said, Mike, taking into consideration, Todd Howard's viewpoint and his comments on it, is this deal going to end up getting messy at some point? Will we see some, dispute over exclusivity, even internally, from Bethesda's side, once the deal is actually, comes full circle? Or are we just, a lot of people, and I say that, involving the industry and, media, both sides, kind of looking in too much to this thing, this whole thing currently? Are we just kind of like overreacting with it a little bit?
I don't know that there would necessarily be like a mutiny or anything in Microsoft if Bethesda
raising up arms,
I guess. In Bethesda specifically, I guess, because
boys to your rascals.
They cut deals with Sony to release exclusives, so, and it wouldn't be the first time Bethesda has an exclusive with Xbox, as we know, with Morrowind. I don't necessarily think that you can really raise mutiny, especially whenever Microsoft is buying them for the amount of money that they paid for them. Basically, they're going to do their best to honor, Bethesda, but at the end of the day, it was a business decision, so Microsoft still wants to try to make as much money as humanly possible. So I think that it's going to become exclusive, and I think that Microsoft's going to flex their muscles. And might it make Bethesda mad? Sure, yeah, I guess, but don't sell if you don't want that possibility. When you agree to sell in the way that they did, to become acquired by someone, you're giving up that right. You're not independent anymore. You're owned. And again, while I'm pro workers' rights, you're still going to make games. You're going to make them for computer and Xbox. Who cares if you don't make them for PlayStation? And, some people might say, oh, well, they might like the PlayStation software better, or they might like the system better. Like, I don't care. Microsoft didn't pay $7.5 billion for them to like PlayStation more. That's not my problem. Like, don't sell for anything, if you are afraid of that. So that's my take on it. It's a possibility that it'll happen, but I don't think it's going to matter much. It'll be like shouting into the void, because Microsoft's going to get out of them what they want, basically. And they should. Like, Microsoft should 100% release the Elder Scrolls exclusively on Xbox and PC, at least for the first, 6 months or so. It is what it is, because if you really want to play it, you'll play it on PC. You know what I mean? Or you'll buy an Xbox. There's a Series S for a lot less than any PlayStation or the new Xbox, and you can stream the game right to it if you're that worried about it.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily like that argument to a degree. I respect it, because that is, like you said, I totally am in the camp with you, same deal that, hey, this is, they're paying $7.5 billion for these IP, these licenses, all of these, multi-million selling, entities. They have a fucking right to do whatever they want with them. I mean, they don't want to put them somewhere else. Cool. Like, don't put them somewhere else. Keep them internally. Like, keep them within your ecosystem of supported platforms. And we kind of talked about it last week where, I brought up the kind of, hypothesis of like, well, or the theory, I should say, well, theoretically, technically everybody is in the Xbox ecosystem. If you have it, and when I say everybody, that's with an asterisk, but, almost everyone has a cell phone. Every full functioning adult, every teenager, anybody who would be kind of playing this, their target demographic really for T to M rated games, I would guess, that everybody has a phone. Everybody, or can easily access a tablet or something like that, has some smart device that could easily, by the time these big, large-scale projects come out and are, I'm sure at that time, fully integrated into Microsoft's ecosystem, they could easily stream those. xCloud's going to be available on every device eventually, for sure. No questions asked. I mean, it's going to be on my kick-ass Sony Bravia TV downstairs is going to have, it already has, this Steam Link app that I know xCloud is going to be able to support that. I know xCloud is going to be on PC soon. So I could bust out my fiance's Chromebook and play on there. Like, it's stuff like that that's going to make the barrier to entry so low that you can get in for next to nothing and stream games without owning this console. So, like, people are going to have access to it very easy. Now, with at the same time, though, is, what's the quality of that access look like? Who knows? And granted, there a lot of people probably aren't going to play multiplayer games on xCloud or choose to play them out of, choice, I would guess. But in general, though, like for a single player experience, that may not be that bad, especially something a little more, Elder Scrolls is a little bit slower paced of a series of games, I would say personally, but any kind of first person RPG-esque is going to be a little more, I think going to benefit more from experiences like that, being able to do that. But point being, like, they don't have to, they can keep it within their ecosystem if they want. That's no, hey, they have that choice to do that. I agree with you. I don't think internally there's going to be that much pushback with it, because realistically, especially from the top down, especially from when we're talking from development end, I don't think those guys are going to really they're not going to care that much. As long as they're able to, I'm sure, keep their jobs, and especially at this point, and what makes me happy about this Bethesda deal, and I meant to throw it in the doc here, but I couldn't find it, but some of the interviews that I've been seeing with Todd since that, and he's been doing more interviews, which is great, and more media appearances, and just everyone involved with that on both sides, Xbox and Bethesda, it was ZeniMax, I guess I should say, but it seems like they're going to be able to make more of the games that they want to make, not games that are going to completely sell. Like, we may get another experience like Morrowind that's more CRPG focused, maybe more of a hardcore traditional RPG experience compared to a Skyrim. Because they don't have to work. One, they'll have the funding for it, and they don't have to worry if it sells. It goes on Game Pass, cool. They're going to be able to, they'll get the numbers sheer alone off of, having an Elder Scrolls game to begin with, being in that series or whatever. Or it doesn't have to be just an Elder Scrolls. Who knows? Maybe they can make another isometric Fallout game, that wouldn't gel with everyone, but it goes back to the Fallout roots that they've been asking for. But they were worried if doing that, they would, scare off a lot of their bulk, casual consumer base, So to me, this is such a great deal. And that's why I think I love talking about it so much. And, I secretly hope that there's news about it, because I'm such a Bethesda stan that it's like, I think there's going to be pushback personally. I think not internally, but more externally, that I feel like this isn't going to be, I think them and, in this, obviously, hopefully this blows over by the time people are actually fucking playing these games, but I think, and I even kind of mentioned it to you, Mike, like, I think Phil kind of, like, had to, like, I think maybe, and this is me totally just reading the room type of thing and kind of picking out what it looks like, that his comments last week that we talked about, saying, like, pretty much alluding, like, yeah, these games are going to be exclusive. Maybe his, the legal team was like, whoa, maybe you shouldn't be, you're skating the line that's very close. Why don't you just backpedal just a little bit and say, we can't talk about that yet. Like that, I think he got a little overzealous. That's just me reading. I have no idea, that may be completely wrong, but it just, me reading the room like that seemed like it. But I think it'll be more on, I still think we're going to see a public backlash from, Nintendo fans, PlayStation fans, people who aren't going to necessarily for sure know that they're getting these games on their platforms that they played for years on. Of these games, like, they played Skyrim for years, Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, like, you name it, for years on these platforms, plus all the other, Doom, the new Doom series now, or the new iteration of Doom, I should say, new iteration of Wolfenstein, Arcane's suite of games, Dishonored and Prey, like, all these games that, they are going to feel maybe a little pressure to, hey, maybe we should try to do some exclusivity, timed exclusivity. After a year, we'll open it back up maybe, or something. I don't know, but I feel like that Band-Aid's going to be a little tougher to pull off. But I don't know, man. That's another, that it's just going to be so interesting how all this plays out. There's so many pieces that are now just starting to get, like, put onto the chessboard, that it's going to be weird once they, whenever people are playing competitive chess, they hit the button to start it. Like, it's going to be so interesting when the chessboard's finally set up and you hit the button and the game starts, and see where all these pieces move. So, Mike, let's end to our last news article for this week. EA fined 10 million quid over loot boxes as Dutch court sides with gambling authority. This comes from Brendan St. Clair over on gamesindustry.biz. As always, a link in the description. And this is a lot. So, and I'm also a dum-dum when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So if I fuck a lot of this up, you have my, blessing to just make fun of me. You can, kind of flame me a little bit on it. I fully understand. I flame myself with this shit. A Netherlands district court this week ruled against Electronic Arts in a case over FIFA loot boxes, allowing the Netherlands Gambling Authority to proceed in fining the publisher 10 million quid for violating the country's Betting and Gambling Act. Quote, the KSA believes it is crucial to shield vulnerable groups such as minors from exposure to gambling, the regulator explained. For that reason, the KSA supports a strict separation between gaming and gambling. Gamers are often too young and therefore particularly susceptible, there we go, big words, to develop an addiction. As such, gambling elements have no place in games. The KSA informed developers in April of 2018 that it considered loot boxes violations of the Betting and Gambling Act, giving them 8 weeks to make their games compliant. The EA fine was originally imposed last October, but EA contested both the fine and the KSA's desire to reveal them to the public. The 3-judge panel ruled against the publisher on both fronts, permitting the KSA to levy the maximum allowed fine of 5 million quid to Electronic Arts and a second maximum fine to Electronic Arts Swiss and to announce them as well. According to the judgment, EA argued that FIFA loot boxes would not count as gambling under the Betting and Gambling Act because FIFA Ultimate Team Packs, which are loot boxes, don't offer items of value because they cannot be directly converted into money. That FIFA is inherently a game of skill rather than chance. Woof. And there is no scientific evidence linking the opening of Ultimate Team Packs to gambling addiction. The court was unswayed by those arguments, noting that there are ways for people to profit off Ultimate Team cards that can be valued at nearly 2,000 quid, and that people can ignore the proper FIFA gameplay and, quote, play the Ultimate Team packs as their own sort of game. EA also argued that the KSA's decision forbidding FIFA Ultimate Team packs in the prior form violated EA's rights to property and freedom of expansion. In the response to the property defense, the judge noted that the KSA gave EA an opportunity to amend FIFA games to fix the issue without any sort of sanction or fine, but the publisher neglected to do so. They added that EA still owns the game and has control over how it decides to make it comply with the laws. As for the KSA censoring the creativity of FIFA's game designers, the court ruled again that the Betting and Gambling Act existence assumes that the interests of society to regulate games of chance outweigh the interest to preserve people's freedoms to express themselves through games of chance. Finally, EA argued that disclosing the fine to the public would disproportionately harm its business and hurt its reputation, but the court ruled that the public interest in announcing the fines and warning the public about unlawful commercial practices outweighed EA's interest in preserving its reputation. As for where Upset basically just be like, oh no, I ain't falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Like,
just talk about getting absolutely bodied in a public forum. Like, just ouch.
Literally. All right. As for where upset FIFA players in the Netherlands can direct complaints, the KSA advised them to take it up with EA. Hold on one second. Let me. The game's providers are the parties that decide to include a gambling game within the game, thereby breaking the law, it said. The KSA has pointed this out to Electronic Arts Inc. and Electronic Arts Swiss repeatedly. Electronic Arts and Electronic Arts Swiss are therefore itself responsible for changing the game such that it no longer in contravention of law. How exactly it accomplishes this is at their discretion. And we have an update too from it earlier today whenever I was getting the doc ready. An EA representative has provided the following statement to gamesindustry.biz. Quote, players all over the world have enjoyed FIFA and the FIFA Ultimate Team mode for many years, and as such, we are disappointed by the decision and what it may mean for our Dutch community. We do not believe that our products and services violate gambling laws in any way. We are appealing the decision, and we seek to avoid a situation impacting the ability of Dutch players to fully experience and enjoy FIFA Ultimate Team. Electronic Arts deeply committed to positive play. We seek to bring choice, fairness, value, and fun to all of our players in all of our games. We remain open to discussions with the Netherlands Gambling Authority and other stakeholders to understand and explore solutions to address any concerns, unquote. Holy shit, that was a lot. But all important to the context, I guess. So this is probably going to sound shitty and short-sighted, I'm sure, but I fully am not trying to make it sound like that, I swear. But that usually backfires with me. But I feel like the fight against gambling incentives in games is just becoming this uphill battle that keeps resulting in nothing. Like, we hear about all this. We hear about, no, we're going to fight this. We're going to do these. We're going to fine people. And realistically, 10 million quid is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money, but to a company like EA, you look at the budget for some of their games, that's not completely asinine. It just feels like the incentives result in all the structure that comes to the sanctity that comes, or the sanctions. There we go. Big words, right? Sanctions that come down to the publisher, and it's always the publishing end, really, of these, game companies, that it's it doesn't really result in any change. We just see it becoming this carousel. I'm 1000% for ways to compensate developers through justifiable microtransactions, such as cosmetics and things like that, aren't gameplay impactful, I guess, in a way. But with cash cows like EA's Ultimate Team modes, which make so much fucking money off of it, it'll just find a way to rebrand it or recoup it, or, find another loophole around it just to be more, or just straight up be more upfront about gambling, saying, hey, there's gambling in this game, put it on the box type of thing, cool, there you go type of thing. And nothing ever really comes to change with it because, well, capitalism, it sells. It still will make money. They know they'll make money on it. Cool. We get slapped on the wrist. Cool. We'll pay it and we'll keep making more money off of it. So how, I guess, Mike, what I'm trying to bring up is, how can the games industry evolve from this in these situations that keep coming up and actually provide real change and provide content that is both justifiable and upfront, but also is able to compensate developers properly? How can this become sustainable but just at the same time, I guess?
Yeah, I'm pretty much I'm kind of in the same camp as you. I feel like this is beating a dead horse, going over this time and time again, because like you said, the result is always the same. But I will just say that I do kind of have basically after opening stuff, opening cases in CS:GO, it is 100% basically playing roulette. You're basically gambling.
Oh yeah.
And it's the exact same thing with HUT and FIFA Ultimate Team, Hockey Ultimate Team, Madden Ultimate Team. But I will say, I feel bad because there's indie devs or there's smaller dev studios out there that could really use something like this to their benefit. But you have these cash cow people like Valve and EA that kind of go about it the wrong way, if you will. Mm-hmm. So, and the fact that they're oh, well, you can't actually get money from the skin, or not the skins. You can't actually get money from the players' cards. Dude, you just go on eBay and you can buy it on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
People do that with hockey cards, hockey.
Oh my god,
team.
yeah.
I don't get it. So I wish that there was a little bit of a different way, and I think they'll figure it out and they'll make it a lot less like gambling. But I'm kind of in the same I'm in the same camp as you, and I feel like game studios are kind of in this catch-22 situation where they don't necessarily want to charge a ton for their games, but it's getting to the point that they're going to have to start charging more for their games. And this is a way that they could alleviate the charge, basically charging $60, but more for these in-game changes or color swatches or whatever you're going to do. I feel like that's an easy way for them to do it, and it keeps the barrier to entry low. So I would basically, what I think people are going to have to do is go the Valorant route and the Rogue Company route. And it's yeah, you can get these skins, but you just have to pay for them, period. There's no luck involved. There's no gambling. Oh, I'm going to pay $3 to open or $2.50 to open this crate, and I may or may not get anything like stuff worth anything, you know?
Mhm.
And like the Valorant way is they just like this is the skins that are available right now. And it's like Fortnite does it, and
Yeah.
they're only
Oh,
available right now, so buy them. And the way that they create their demand isn't by rarity per se, it's by timing the release. Like how long is this going to be available or how long until it's gone? And
mhm.
that's how Fortnite and other studios drive their demand up by basically timing things in that nature. And that's what these studios are going to have to do. They're going to have to time it, and they're going to have to say it's available now for a week only and it'll never be available again. Literally never. So get it now. And
Yeah.
and then they're going to have to make it where you can't transfer. You can buy gifts for people, but you can't transfer skins like from accounts or whatever is what they're going to have to do to prevent anything else like that happening.
Mhm. No, and I was actually going to bring that up as well. Like, I totally agree that I think the route that they need to take, that a lot of, and granted, it's hard to really say that because it's the FIFA approach to it, or I guess the EA approach to it, is so much more pay to win aspects, so that you are getting a better chance of winning because you're getting players. Like, you're getting
Yeah.
actual impactful players out of these packs.
And then,
As
by
somebody,
the way, like they make their esports of like NHL or FIFA, like they weren't this way before. At least hockey wasn't, but now
Mhm,
it's all hut, fut, or mutt. Like now, not
mhm.
only do you have to pay to win, but if you wanted to compete in it, you have to pay to win to get good cards because that's the team like. You're not playing
Yeah.
online versus. You're playing mutt or hut or fut. You know what I mean?
hmm No, no, totally. And that's what, like, it's so, as somebody who used to play Hut back in the day, and like every now and then I would spend a little bit of money on packs, but I'm talking like maybe once a year I'd spend like $10 to $20 max. Like, not that much. I would get like a pack every now and then when I'm just like, I'm kind of into playing Hut. I'm into playing Hockey Ultimate Team at the time. But after that, it would never be. And if I got somebody like amazing, I'd always put them on the marketplace just to like. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna put him out. I'm gonna put. Who did I get? I remember the one year I got Claude Giroux, and he was worth like hundreds of thousands of like pucks. So I'm like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
put him on the market because guess what? I'll be able to make a fucking great team out of one player, like just because he's a popular
Yeah.
player type of thing. But like, I never like it. Just I never understand how it keeps going to this, like, we keep having this discussion, and it's never, to me, it seems like it's never going to go away. But I totally agree by the Fortnite, the Valorant, the Rogue Company method, where it almost does the Nintendo-esque like fake scarcity approach, where it's like, which sucks at the same time, but it's gotten me to, as soon as I saw the Batman, I don't play the Fortnite that much, but as soon as I saw the Batman skin pop up on social media saying, hey, it's back in the store, I logged on and spent $5 and got it because I fucking love Batman and that skin's super dope. But like, that's the thing about Valorant, that's like, I played a lot of Valorant throughout this year, and like, I wanted to get some skins out of it, but the skins are fucking expensive. They are pretty expensive for what you're buying, but once you buy it, you own it. There's no like, hey, I'm going to throw this on the market. Hey, it's not like CSGO. It's not anything like that where it's like, hey, I'm not worrying about rolling the dice on opening a crate or anything like that. That it's like, no, it's just, I know what I'm buying and going in. And I think that is the best approach, because even if the prices are a little bit inflated because of that and you know what you're getting, I'd much rather do that and know, hey, I'm not wasting, sure, I spent, $30 to buy this skin, but at least I didn't waste 50 and then finally get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, that to me makes more sense. And it's more upfront where actually parents, if we're talking kids and that's who they're saying, like, hey, these kids are the ones who are susceptible to actually falling for and getting addicted for these gambling traits, at least at a young age, where they can't really have the cognitive ability to tell the difference between gambling and a video game at times, where it's like, okay, that makes sense they at least know when a parent goes in and sees like, oh, they bought, I know exactly what they bought compared to why they spend $500 on my, why'd you spend $500? Well, I was trying to get this one skin. Well, here, at least the parent could be like, okay, sure, whatever. You want the skin, grades are good or whatever. Here's your $30 skin or whatever. But like, point being, then again, you're not worrying about a kid getting in there and actually getting addicted to like, hey, I'm going to steal mom's credit card because I still haven't gotten the skin. And Ninja said if I don't get the skin, I'm not elite or anything like that. Like, I need to keep buying this. I need to keep buying this. Not that fucking Tyler's doing that, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's not as predatory, and I think that's the best approach to do if we want to actually see some change. And I'm glad more developers are putting that in as a staple of their ecosystem for their games. But like, I just don't think I literally don't see any end in sight for like the EAs, for the Activisions, for, you know, and I'm talking as somebody who plays a lot of Overwatch. Granted, how Overwatch gets you your, you know, the loot boxes that you open is relatively easy, and you literally have to put no money in if you want to get, you know, a lot of the character skins that do pop up. Every now and then there'll be like specific ones you can only get during, you know, X amount of events and things like that. But 99% of the time, at least in my experience, I've never had to really buy anything, just the base game, and cool, I'm good to go. I get loot boxes, I get one every level I get. Cool. Oh, you know, even if I don't get the one thing I want, cool, I'll just wait until I get another level in an hour or two. You know, it is what it is. So I would like to see that be kind of the, you know, the mold that is shaped around ecosystems and gamings and stuff like that, to move away from these more loot box, because I think more people will be willing to give more money when they know exactly what they're getting and not a fucking roll of the dice. But then again, people keep fucking doing it with EA, with FIFA, with NHL, with Madden. Like, it's going to happen. I have a good friend of ours who I know plays a lot of Madden, spent a lot of money in doing that before. And like, I don't understand it personally. To each their own, but I just couldn't imagine that. But Mike, let's end the party chat as we wrap up this episode for this week. If you're new to the show, party chat is where we go in and propose one question at the end of each week that we kind of just want to talk about and discuss. Could be as simple as what's your favorite story beat in the game, or what have you been playing during quarantine, or, you know, while this crazy pandemic goes around and the US can't get shit together. Or it could be more in depth as to why the negative stigma around gaming somehow still exists. And after answering these questions ourselves, we'll kick it over to you to tweet or email your responses to our questions over at Twitter, on Twitter at GPGC Podcast, and we'll read some of those responses the following week. Last week's question: as Game Pass continues to expand, do you see Microsoft having the same issues as Sony does when it comes to the PlayStation Store, in terms of players accessing and finding titles that may be smaller in scale or even independent? And Comrade Party 26 over on Twitter said, no, because there probably won't be as many games offered on the service in a carousel fashion, which kind of I talked about last week, but that could always change. Yeah, I totally agree where it's, you know, there's only, at least as of right now, there's only a couple hundred games on Xbox Game Pass where it's a little bit easier to find and manage games, but we could very well see that expand. So this week's question, Mike, if you could change one thing about the current state of Xbox, what would it be? Kind of broad, open-ended question, but if there's one thing within the Xbox ecosystem, the state of Xbox heading into next gen, what's the one thing you would want to see kind of change?
Mine's probably going to be different than what a lot of people would say, because some people would probably say, oh, they want better, you know, exclusive games. They want better Gears or Halo. But for me, like, realistically speaking, if you want your system to be taken semi-serious within the esports world at all, you have to have LAN support on your system. And literally anyone wants in any competitive scene, especially when it comes to shooters, is LAN support, because it's the way the game should be played, and especially in like competition. So for me, it would just like literally just be like a true LAN mode without like actually like faking it like they did with this past year, where it's like it's LAN, wink wink, aka hook up online and peer to peer, like,
right.
Yeah, not the same. So that's what I would pick, is like a true LAN, because if you're gonna let people compete in Halo on Xbox, there has to be LAN. It can't be like it was for Halo 5 and even MCC, where the LAN was just not that great.
No, that's actually really good. I mean, that's where we saw, you know, a lot of esports, a larger esports ecosystems like in Call of Duty and stuff move away and head towards, you know, PlayStation for their console competition. Like, you know, it sucks. I remember just LAN parties back in the day were it. That was the best thing. And granted, online multiplayer kind of took over, and the games industry evolved with that to better or worse, how, was how you want to look at some things. But, that to me was like a staple so much back in the day. And especially now looking at where esports is going right now and, the evolution of it. And granted, a lot of it is transcending more to PC gaming specifically with a lot of these major third party and PC and obviously PC independent games, but like third party titles and stuff are becoming more, the pro scene's becoming PC, but you're still having, you look at the majority of Call of Duty's player base, it's console. Like, so I totally agree that I totally agree with you. I think that should be a staple in Xbox, especially with how integral they've been with multiplayer in general at the core of their experience since the original Xbox. So on my end, current state of Xbox, what would it be? For the longest time, it was obviously exclusives that, hey, I want to see more expansion to buying studios and buying IP and reworking IP and doing this and doing that. I kind of want it to be, if there's one thing I guess I could change, I would kind of want it to be, and they're starting to get there, and it's kind of, I want it to be more, I want them to be more open with getting their, and this is really, I guess, for because I love PC gaming so much and the approach that it has where you have the freedom to do so many things, and we're getting there with console gaming, but I want there to be open ecosystems to a degree where obviously some titles are going to stay exclusive, but more so where it doesn't matter what system you have, that crossplay becomes much more of a staple. Like I would love to see Xbox say, hey, every title that you're putting on here, you have to, make it crossplay at minimum with PC gaming. But I want to see that transcend into more gaming and just across in general. And I guess this is more broad of just video game overarching in general, but me personally, I would love to see that become kind of the thing. That, and also too, and they're getting back to it, and I think they're fully almost there, but just the emphasis on Xbox being games first. And games, and Game Pass is really doing that, where any console they sell is a video game console. Like, every fucking device are fucking microwaves now. You could watch Netflix on it. Like, I don't care about that. If you're buying an Xbox, it's probably at this point, back in the day, like with 360 and PS3, whenever this technology was, streaming and Blu-ray players and things like that were becoming much more like, they were still a little bit taboo, and it was harder to get this content on things like that. I understand is making more, hey, this is an entertainment device, but everything does that now. When you're buying a video game system, especially $500 a pop, like heading into next gen, yeah, like you need, like, I want this to be the video game system. And I think they're pretty much at that point again, but more emphasis on that. Just continued pounding in, like, this is a video game console. Video games, not, yeah, cool, you can watch Netflix on, I guess, but I don't want to hear about that. To me, that's not why people buy these systems, because they're fucking, the thing in your pocket can play it now, so. Yeah. Realistically. So, Mike, I think that's going to do it for our episode this week. Why don't you tell people, not they, why don't you tell these people, our fans, where they can find you on the interwebs to talk about all we talked about, the fucking tough conversation we had about 343 Industries and Halo and the state of Halo. Where can people commiserate with you?
You can find me on Twitter at TOYSXLDIER. That's Toy Soldier, but the second O is an X. Or you can find me on Twitch at MP_Toy Soldier. Come discuss with me there, and that's where I'll be.
Nice. And as always, I am your host, Travis White, aka Travlis, on most internet platforms, including Twitter at Travlis_, that's TRAVLESS_. You can also find me streaming time to time on twitch.tv/Travlis_, same as Twitter. And if you want to play some video games with me over on Xbox Live, you can do so at just regular Travlis, that's TRAVLESS. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been your newest episode of the Game Pass Gamecast, episode 70, which is fucking wild. It's your go-to podcast for all things Xbox, Xbox Game Pass, and PC gaming, including news, rumors, and conversation around them damn good video games. Each and every week, you can catch new episodes of the show when they drop on Friday mornings on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and all other major podcast services. So be sure to subscribe to us, rate us, review us, all that jazz wherever you get a podcast at, and follow us on Twitter at GPGC Podcast. Stay up to date with everything regarding our show, video games alike, and our dope giveaways, which make sure you listen to the very end of this show. We're going to talk about a dope giveaway we have coming up to kick off the next gen party, baby. So make sure you listen to the very end of this episode and we'll get you filled in on that. So that being said, Mike, that's going to do it for our episode this week. Thank you everyone so much for listening, sharing, and being a part of our growing community. Game on, wash your fucking hands, listen to the doctors, Black Lives Matter, and we will see you next week. All right, it's giveaway time. Even though we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for CD Projekt Red's next adventure in Cyberpunk 2077, we thought we'd kick off the celebration a little bit early with getting you hooked up with a copy of the game. That's right, we are giving away one free copy of Cyberpunk 2077 on either Xbox, and yes, you can play this day one on your Series X or S when it drops, or PC to one lucky listener. Getting entered is super easy. You know us, it's always easy to get you hooked up. Head on over to our Twitter page at GPGC Podcast, or click the link in the description of the show below and just do the following. Follow the show page at GPGC Podcast, you just went there, retweet the pinned tweet that's on our profile, and tag a friend in that tweet, in that retweet, who you are hyped to explore Night City with this December. That's it. Super easy stuff, Samurai. We'll announce the winner of the giveaway on the December 4th episode of Gamecast, so make sure you're listening in case you won. Okay, that's it. That's a wrap on this week's show, finally. I'm going to bed because it's late when I'm recording this, and fun fact, I'm a little bitch when I get tired, so I'm out of here. Talk to you guys next week. Peace. Thank you so much for listening.